What is our pride? Coming from the Indian family value system, our pride, our honor are our daughters. They are our sisters. They are the women of our family. Going back into history, I'll tell you a fact, a very unpleasant fact. And the fact is that in the Indian state of Kerala, there was a place named as the Kingdom of Travancore. And this state of Travancore, the Kingdom of Travancore, there was a law. And what was the law? The law was that the women coming from lower caste had to bare their breasts in front of the higher caste women and men. And if they wanted to cover their breasts, they had to pay a tax. And this tax was known as Mula Karam. Hello viewers, Vanakkam Namaskaram to all of you. My name is Amit and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, Layman History and Geopolitics. First things first, friends. In Kerala, historically, going bare is not a stigma. Maybe due to the climate, maybe due to the weather, but people didn't see or view it as nudity. Men used to go bare, upper body bare, women used to go upper body bare, and it was not considered obscene by any regards. But in the 1800s, it so happened that the social caste hierarchies started getting worsened. They started getting solidified. And in that climate, what so happened was that the human body became a sign of one's virility. It became a sign of one's dominance. It became a sign of your caste. And this is what happened with the lower caste women and the slave women also. See, there was a system in the state, the Travancore state, that the lower caste, first we'll talk about the slave caste. They would be the Pulayas, Paraiyas and Vedas. They were the slave caste. Their men and women were permanently, they had to bare their upper bodies in front of everybody. Coming to the next ladder, that would be the Ezhavas and the Nadars. The Nadar and the Ezhava men and women had to bare their upper bodies, that is their breasts and chests, in front of the Nair men and women. And the Nair women in turn had to bare their breasts and the Nair men in their chests in front of the Namburi-Pad Brahmins and the court officials. And the Namburi-Pad Brahmin women and men had to bare their chests or breasts in front of the deity in the temple. Only the Namburi-Pad women, Brahmin women, were allowed to wear the total cloth over their breasts. Even the Nair women had to wear some sort of wear a light cloth over their breasts, which was loosely worn over one shoulder, and it was known as sharf. Otherwise, all the castes had to follow this practice. These low caste women, they were not allowed to, the Nadars or the Ezhavas, they were allowed only to wear silver ornaments. The caste, the slave caste, they could only wear bead necklaces. These low caste women could not carry water pots on their hips. Just imagine. And these slave caste women could be even sold, they could be bartered. They would be even given as surety. Such inhumane conditions not very long ago, just 200 years ago. Just think what was happening in India at that time. And there were around 110 taxes imposed on these caste people, lower caste people. You had a tax on your head, you had a tax on your mustache, you had a tax on your knife, you had a tax on your fishing net. So these classes were basically degraded, and it was a sort of actually proving the reigns of the kingdom on the lower caste people. And the most degrading among all this was the Mula Karam. Now this practice of Mula Karam was that if the Ezhava woman wanted to cover their breasts, they had to pay this tax. The tax collector used to come to your home, the Ezhava homes, and they used to physically instruct the size and the weight of the breasts, and on its basis the tax was paid in rice. Such an inhumane practice, degrading the morality of women. Where was humanity in those times? And one lady rose against it, and her name was Nangalai. Nangeli of Cherthala village in coastal Travancore. She was so fed up with this practice that when a tax collector came to her home, she had made up her mind earlier on. She went to the kitchen. The tax collectors thought she has gone to fetch rice as tax. She went inside. She was a farmhand. She had a sickle. She chopped one of her breasts, put it on a banana leaf, and took it outside and gave it in front of the tax collector. Just think, she was bleeding. She was about to die. The tax collector was petrified. He ran away in fear, and the very next day, this practice was abolished by the king. The practice of Malakaram was abolished. But the practice of bearing your breast or your chest in front of the upper caste men and women still continued. And it actually gave the start to the Shanar rebellion. It started in 1814, continued till 1859. We talk about missionaries and we say missionaries came and converted the people in India. I'm not a big fan of missionaries though. They came to India, they converted the people, and we even call these people who converted as rice bags. But when you are living in such inhumane conditions, what you are supposed to do? What you will do? When they give you education, when they give you upper chances of upliftment, they give you trade benefits, what you will do? And this is what happened. In 1812, the resident of Travancore gave the right to another woman who had converted to Christianity that you can cover your breasts. And it so happened that the Nadar woman cutting across the religious lines, be it Hindu or be it Christian, they started covering their breasts, they started going out in public, and they even started wearing a cloth like sharf, which was worn by the Nair woman. The upper caste rejected to it, clashes took place, and the Diwan of actually the Travancore state gave a proclamation which stated that they cannot wear these shirts, but they can wear jackets known as just a moment kupayam, which were worn by the Mopala woman and the Syrian Christian woman, but they cannot wear shirts. They can wear kupayam. But the Nadar women continued in this practice, and in 1822 again the clashes erupted. Nadar women were attacked. They were stripped in public, but they did not bow down. And in 1829, it again happened. Chapels were burnt, Christian schools were burnt, missionary schools were burnt. But these people still carried on with their practice and faced the Nayars, which happened to be the higher caste in the social ladder from the Nadars and the Ezhavas. And in 1859, it was only through in 1859 again the riots happened, and it was only after the interference of the Madras government that the Raja of Travancore agreed that these people can actually cover their breasts, but they should abstain from covering in the style in which the higher caste cover their breasts. Such a big issue on this topic. Just think the caste divisions in Indian society, where they took us. What was the status of women in our society? It was not war. During the wars, you know that the kings used to actually take on the entire families of the defeated ruler, keep them in their harem. It happened, and it was actually the way of the ancient kingdoms. But during the peace times, you were actually degrading the woman in such a way, just on the name of your caste supremacy. Where will this caste take India? That needs to be pondered. It's a long way. We've come a long way forward from these practices, but caste divisions still remain. Uh, there was a temple movement in 1925 in Kerala, Vaikom temple, as far as I remember. It was again due to this. During those times in the 1800s, the Nadir men had to maintain a distance of 36 yards from Namburi Path Brahmins, 12 yards from Nayars. Was that human? They were not allowed to go through the streets which were corresponding to the higher caste localities or the temples. Was that humane? And see where Nadars have actually prospered now. But this topic is for some other day. I'm going to talk about the Nadars, how they actually climbed these social ladders and achieved the success. That's a story for another day. But fact remains, just think about the inhumane practices those that existed in those times. If India has to progress, we have to remove these societal barriers. We have to remove these caste distinctions. We have to come together. So friends, this was my video for today. I hope you liked my video. Sorry. And if you did, kindly like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel, Layman History and Geopolitics. And if possible, kindly join my channel as a member. My membership fees are not even equal to 2 cups of tea per month. Welcome, namaskar to all of you. Thank you.